Hello, sir.
Hello. Hello. Hello from Australia.
Hi, I'm from Kashmir.
Ah, yeah, that's cool. So I've heard you chat numerous times in the past, so I thought I'll try and join one day. So now I've got my
Sure.
chance.
It's my pleasure, sir.
No worries. The question I have for you: do you think morality is objective or subjective?
I believe objective morality.
I'm different. I'm a moral subjectivist because I think moral truths are subjective because there's no inherent right or wrong, because the right and wrong of stuff is purely one's perception and an attitude. But for me, morality comes down to everyone's ego, because I think morality is purely an egoistic thing. So, for example, um, just say you have a car accident and there's a person that decides to help you. I believe that they're helping you purely on self-interest.
So you're defining it in an altruistic way, right? I mean,
No,
that's
no,
how
not
which
not altruism, egoism, which is kind of
okay.
like one self-interest comes into it.
But then how are you going to explain the phenomena like, universally people accept objective morality. I mean, it's just a universal phenomena. People sacrifice their lives for other people without having any sort of having any sort of without getting any sort of pleasure or things like that. How
Yeah,
would you explain that phenomena? I mean, it just
I
science. When we do a scientific inquiry, it could define how the world is, right? And
yeah,
when we look at the universe, when we look at this world, we see people with certain moral traits. So it would
yeah.
need an explanation. So what do you think?
Well, my argument would be morality is relative because comparing, we'll do it this way: compare Australia's moral concept of morality to Kashmir. Kashmir's and Australia's concept of morality would obviously be vastly different. And same with Australia and Africa, or Australia and Saudi Arabia, or Saudi Arabia and another country. So every country has their own concept of morality. So that's relative, and that
But
proves
but
the point of why it's subjective. But
but the but certain morals aren't subject to, like, killing a human being. It's objectively wrong, right? People accept it as something which is bad objectively, right? So
yeah,
it's not confined to Australia only or Saudi
yeah,
Arabia. It's a universal phenomena. Like we have United Nations, right? And
yeah,
we have international laws. So, like, killing a human being, innocent human being, is wrong, right? Internationally, it
yeah.
has been accepted, right? So, how are we going to explain that phenomena, though?
Well, my counter argument would be: imagine we discovered another species. Like, for example, just say there was like a life on Mars that was sentient, for example, for the sake of argument. And then they come
Hmm.
to Earth and then they start killing people. But their idea of morality is that killing is right. So then, how would we argue with them killing is wrong when their concept of morality is killing is right? How would we bridge that divide?
We haven't found them yet, right? So, we can't
Yeah,
talk about something that's unknown. But what we
yeah,
have today is people who believe in a sort of objective morality, right? I
yeah,
mean, universally, if you look at a person, normal human being, he would certainly tell you that killing an innocent child is wrong, no matter what. So
yeah,
this is something which exists in a universal level. So it would require some sort of explanation.
yeah,
So I believe science is handicapped to explain or give answers to this thing. So it must have some sort of philosophy. You can have a philosophical explanation
yeah.
to it.
Well, I think because I've studied philosophy myself in my previous degree, so I'm a philosophy major.
Right.
I think um, morality is something that was discovered by reason and logic and philosophical discovery, but that doesn't But in saying that, that doesn't make it prove its objectivity or say it's objective. It just
Yes, I
that
yes,
just said,
there are
yeah,
kind of they use a kind of a deduction to arrive at some sort of object to
yeah,
moral traits.
yeah,
But the
deductive
point
reasoning.
is more profound. It's about being, like ontology, right? The moral
Yeah,
ontology. What would define the beingness of these moral traits? How would
mm,
you explain, ontologically the nature of these moral traits, like killing an innocent is bad objectively, right? This is a
yeah,
problem in philosophy, and they haven't reached anywhere, as far as my
yeah,
knowledge goes, right? They haven't reached
yeah,
anywhere to conclude anything about it. So they're
yeah.
dancing around this concept.
That's the problem that you'll always find in moral philosophy. That you'll have a bunch of philosophers that either take a subjectivist or an objectivist position, but they never get into the ontology of it, going, okay, not saying what
Absolutely.
is, why it is, and why X is not necessarily Y, and Y is not necessarily Z. The
Absolutely,
reason,
sir.
yeah,
Yes, you're always gonna fall in the problem of this infinite rigorous, right?
yeah,
If if B is bad, then how do you know it is bad? Because of C. If C
yeah,
is bad, then how do you know C is right? So, like I
yeah,
earlier said, science can tell you how the world is. You can't derive ought claims from science.
no,
It's not a job of science to tell you what you ought to do, right? So it is
yeah,
completely a philosophical phenomena.
yeah, because you want to completely avoid that is an ought problem. That's
Absolutely, and
that's what, yeah,
it has been existing in philosophy from millennia now, right? Philosophers, like I said, have been dancing around this issue, and they haven't reached
yeah,
anywhere. So our position is clear. Like we derive our morals from a being which is perfect in nature. So we get from the perfect, we get these moral traits because we
yeah,
believe God is the only being that transcends human subjectivity, correct? So he is also a perfect being. So from the perfect, we get these moral traits, like killing an innocent is bad, right?
mm, mm. That's if you're a theist, though, like if you believe in a god. For me,
Yes, sir.
since I'm an atheist and an absurdist, that's kind of where I sit. Um, my position of morality is more what I'd call, yes, it's subjective, but I take a very egoistic um, stance. So, for example, I argue every moral action is selfish and self-interested. For the reason being, so imagine there's a car accident and you're helping someone. I don't believe you're helping them out of an altruistic sense. I believe you're helping them purely in a self-interested sense because it's your self-interest in going, well, it's my self-interest to call an ambulance or get them out of the burning car.
Mm-hmm. I get what you're saying. It is like I've read from Richard Dawkins something like reciprocal
Mm,
altruism, right? It's somewhat similar to that, but it still
yeah,
does not solve the problems. Like if we believe that rape is wrong, it has been wrong, it was wrong, is wrong,
yeah,
and will be wrong. So this thing, the nature of this claim requires some sort of explanation. Now, if you're going to say that it is due to our selfish nature, then hold on a second. I have nothing to do with the past, right? So how come I'm
yeah,
making a claim and superimposing my notions on the people who had lived in the past, right? That's problematic. So science from this perspective is like it really can't get to there.
yeah. That's like we both agreed. That's where philosophy kind of stops and doesn't answer the question further.
Absolutely, yes. And I mean, like